Okay, in Tillamook County, we have some of the most beautiful beaches around. I mean, I've been on the East Coast and the West Coast and overseas and places, and we have great beaches, good wide sandy beaches that need to be available and should always be available for the public. As far as the ocean waters, recently, I guess the people in Salem have impacted our fishing by creating no fishing zones. We're going to put a lot of fishermen out of business, or it's going to be more expensive to go out 3 miles. I know when I go out, I know that it takes a lot of gas to run a boat. It's not like a car. You get 3 miles to the gallon or on a boat motor. So when you have to go out, it runs up the price. It'll also going to affect our tourism because people come here to fish. I know that I do. I know a lot of people that come from Portland, Salem, Newburgh, California. They come because it's salmon fishing especially is good, and people come for that. And so this is the thing that we need, somehow we need to get this scale back or cut back or make some kind of, we need local control over things like that so that we can control what we need. These people in Salem or Portland, you know, they're looking out for their own interests. It's really a Tillamook County interest, it's a Clatsop County interest, it's a whole coast, and it really does impact us. And if we're looking for tax dollars and funds to run our government, we cannot be stopped. We just can't come in, let them come in and put a stop to what we need to do and what people want to do. I mean, the fishermen in Tillamook County take the best care of fish because, you know, that's their resources, that's their livelihood. It's just like the farmers take, you know, they're environmentalists too. They have to take care of the fields or they're going to be out of business. And it's the same thing with the fisheries. I know when I've been fishing, if you do something wrong, another fisherman's going to turn you in. And they're very concerned about it, and especially now with this no fishing zone and the distance and the lack of tourists to cut off. It's just not a good thing. We need to get something worked out on that. So this is just too big of an area, and this fish are going to go where the food are, not where they're protected. I think not. I mean, I'm all for more energy and stuff, but people are concerned about like oil rigs and the view off the ocean. And I think this offshore energy, I don't know how far off it's going to be, but I know the people in Pacific City are basically against it because it's going to affect their ability to enjoy the beaches and the serenity of the beach and the natural surroundings that they have. And basically, I would say that I hate to say I'm totally against anything that work, but this is something I really want to consider and probably would be against it because we have natural resources we're not using, so let's use those and we can get along with those just fine without adding new problems and new eyesores. And I suspect that that's probably what it's going to amount to is another big eyesore off the beach, and all this affects our livability. Okay, the question's on land use. First place, I think that we should be using more of our natural resources in the woods. They're basically self-sustaining. People planted those forests after the fire with the expectations that they'd be able to harvest the lumber someday. The land use, I think that the Proposition 49 and 39, I was against personally. I have some farmland that's small parcels that I can't do anything with. It's too small to farm, but I have to let a farmer cut grass, and he needs it, I know. But I think it's just overkill on the land use. People should be able to use their land. They bought it, they paid for it, they paid taxes, and developing some of these smaller parcels should be allowed. They would get more farming off of my parcels, for example. I'm using myself as an example here because if a person had a house there and they lived there and they were farming, actually it'd be more farming done on this parcel than there is now. As far as, I think the zoning is Proposition 49 and 39 was just a little overkill. Counties should have control over their land. They're fighting this down in the southern part of the state, trying to get self-control. And our commissioners and the people in this county know more about how they want to use their land, because it's their livelihood, than people that live, say, out of state in San Francisco, Portland, or wherever. It's something I'd like to see a little more self-control, local control, and maybe easing up on the zoning a little bit so that we can encourage more new businesses to come in and locate and create more jobs and more tax base. As far as the water resources, we have a lot of rivers. Tillamook County has 5 rivers. Those are ours to protect and use, and we should make use of those. It's a natural resource that maybe we could come up with better uses for them. But basically, it's what keeps the county green and alive. And we should not disrespect those. We should, but again, local control. Anyway, the difference between the environmentalists and the economical interest in the forest, I think we can achieve a balance. We can cut enough to keep people employed. We could replant. I'd like to see replanting sometimes on some of these clear cuts maybe a little sooner. But that does feed the deer and the elk, having the clear cuts, so it's not all a bad thing. But people need jobs. And if the environment has got to be shared with the people for jobs and working, we've got to make a living. But it can be balanced. Loggers don't go out and trash the forest. That's their livelihood. They take care of it, just like the fishermen take care of the fish. The farmer takes care of the farm. I mean, they know that there's got to be some more timber for tomorrow. They just can't go crazy and cut. And they can do it reasonably well, and people can still enjoy the woods. You can still, and the environment. But it's basically, it comes down to self-sustaining and achieving a balance, which I fully believe we can do. We just can't have somebody saying no to this and no to that without working out and coming to a reasonable conclusion and reasonable means of accomplishing our goals and jobs, roads, and all this stuff. As far as reducing flooding in Tillamook County, the city of Tillamook, I think in particular, we have these 5 rivers that have been building up with silt for years and years and years. We might figure out a way where maybe we could dredge them a little bit and have a little more drainage and runoff. Some people want to get rid of the dikes and stuff that were built in order to create farmland, and also to prevent flooding and benefit us with farmland, with electricity and all these things. And now it seems like we want to tear those out. Well, I don't think we should. I think they were built to keep people going and to prevent the flooding and allow our rivers to drain. And it's like everything else, you know, and we have to be reasonable, but we have to be, and as far as the flooding is concerned, we have to be aggressive. And we also need to be careful of where we build things so that we're not building in flood zones. So we make a compromise here. We make a best effort that we can to do both. And again, you know, we in Tillamook are the ones that should decide this and do what we need to do, what we can do, because it's our nature, it's our rivers, it's our flood zones, it's up to us. It's not up to people outside of the county. We need to do it ourselves. The county budget should be managed very carefully and very prudent. We have to go over the budget, make sure that every dime we spend has to accomplish something for the people of the county. If you need to buy some new equipment or something, what's it going to do for you? Is it going to save jobs? Is it going to save time? Is it going to save money? Or who's it going to benefit? We got to make our budget where it benefits everybody. We've got to be as prudent and frugal as we possibly can. But we still, we just can't close shop either. So we need to basically go over to the budget with a fine-tooth comb. I know when I was in the military, at the end of the year, if we had money left over, come on, hurry up and spend this money. Buy stuff you don't even need, because we'll not only lose that money for this year, but since we didn't spend it this year, we won't get it next year. We not only want it next year, but we want plus 10% or whatever it is. Well, we don't, that's this money in the first place. If we do have money left over, we should be able to save it for next year, and it should affect our budget for next year. But we don't spend money just because we've got it. We spend money because it's going to benefit the people of Tillamook County, to serve the people of Tillamook County, our police and our fire departments and our libraries and all these necessary things that we need to do. Well, the answer to that question is kind of like all of the above. It depends on where the revenue streams are going to come from. I know that the people right now, with all the unemployment and everybody getting laid off and everybody drawing their unemployment insurance and stuff, they don't have a lot of money extra. So the county's got to be careful and cut the budget wherever it can. I mean, it only makes sense that when people have a hard time, the governments can't live high on the hog. We have to live with the people. As far as new revenue streams, it's something that we should always be looking for, but it's got, like, we could better use of our natural resources, better use of maybe this motel tax. I'm not in favor of adding new taxes as such, but if we can find resources, like if we can create new jobs, we can bring in new people, we can increase our tax base. That's our resources. Without people will not be paying more taxes individually, but the government would have more taxes because we have more people. More people is going to be more construction, more activity, more work, more lumber needed, more fishermen to go out fishing and bring us, that resource. So it's just grow the county. The county, since our railroad, which we haven't talked about, but we had a railroad that ran to the valley, which was a cheaper method of getting our goods and services in and out of Tillamook, providing more jobs. The county's lost about, I think, 15 to 20% of the population since this railroad was washed out. We need, as well as roads, we need to look at that, because that would get trucks off the road and reduce the wear and tear. It would bring more jobs, more people, and it's just a combination of a whole lot of things that we got to look at. But basically, I think it all comes down to more people, more jobs, more people, more revenue for the county government, and less individual burden. And that's kind of the position that I think that I would like to work on and do my best, not for me, because I'm not a politician and I don't really want to be, but I'm going to run for this job. I'm running for this job, and I'm going to do the best I can to save the pockets of the individuals as well as keep the government running. As far as the reason for people should vote for me, again, I said before, and I'll say it again, I'm not a career politician. I don't have an axe to grind. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm here to serve the people of Tillamook County and do the very best I think I can. As far as a long written out history and resume of political activities, I don't have it, but I have served in the Marine Corps, both as an enlisted and the officer. I've done a lot of administrative work. I've made a lot of decisions in a lot of stressful situations. So I lean conservative, but I like to think that I'm reasonable and thinker. I think independently, but I like to listen to people, and I like to know what the people need, and I like to then make the decision based on what is not best just for the county government, but best for the county and the people as a whole. I'm a new face, new ideas, and I'm open to ideas, and for God, I need input. I know that I'm going to need a lot of input. I'm going to need a lot of advice. I'm gonna need a lot of help from the people of Tillamook County, but that's what I'm here for. So bring your ideas to me and I'll do what I can, but again, it all depends on if you've got a personal dog in the fight or an axe to grind, then we may have a problem. But if it's, who's it gonna benefit? If it's gonna benefit everybody, the government and the people, then come see me. I'm waiting. I wanna work for you. The last thing I would like to say is, I know that I've talked about Pacific City and South County. I live down in the South County, but I also know that the people in North County are just as interested, and they need the government for them just as much for anybody. Personally, I would like to see county commissioners voted in on a district basis so that the North County and the Tillamook County and the South County would all be represented at the table. Right now, I think most of the people are from the city of Tillamook or this immediate area. But I'll represent the people of North County. I want to hear from them. It's not just South County. It's just not Tillamook County. We're all in this together. And we will live together, we'll use our resources together, and we will work together. And we'll survive together.